Welcome, my friends. Welcome to my world. I'm your host, Kevin Rutherford. It is Monday, September 19th. We are here live. It is a free-for-all kind of day. Anything goes. If you have a question, a comment, a topic, phone lines are open right now. Pick up the phone and join us, 855-950-3835. I'm going to be getting those calls here pretty quickly today, so line them up, 855-950-3835. We can talk about trucks, money, fuel mileage, maintenance, tires, taxes, technology, health and fitness on the road, getting started as an owner-operator, finding freight, working with brokers, getting your authority, you name it. We'll talk about it. Probably the biggest topic right now, and it should be, is the economy. I do want to talk about that some today in the open and what we can do about it. So the economy is really starting to show signs of the downturn. It's been bouncing along. When I talk about the economy, we're talking about the stock market, the real estate market, the interest rates, freight rates, volumes, everything that's going on in the market. And we're finally starting to see the cracks. This has been a long economic expansion, and we've had a couple teasers where we thought it was over, and then it came back, and then we had COVID, which changed everything, and we're still trying to figure out where the economy is going to go. I don't think that there is any chance that we're going to have any more growth. And I think there's a high likelihood that the economy is going to shrink quite a bit. And we could be in for a couple of rough years. That seems to be the way this is shaking out now, that we're definitely into the downturn. This week, every week it seems like there's going to be something important, right? This week the Fed gets together again and they will raise interest rates. Whether it's going to be a 0.5 percentage point, 3/4, maybe they'll do something crazy and raise it a point. I don't know. The market probably will not react well to this one. The market's already down considerably right now, but it's got quite a bit further to go. If we look traditionally, the S&P 500 can lose 50 to 60% in a downturn. We're not there yet. So there's still much more room to fall in the stock market itself. The economy is definitely going to struggle. There's no doubt about that. So for the last couple of years, when people ask me where they should invest. Oh, one more thing. This is not a political open, but politics certainly are playing a role in this. And right now we have the midterms, and that's all that is going to be in the news. Is the midterm elections. I'm kind of taking somewhat of a break because I'm just going to get really tired of the election stuff. But it's important. We need to know about it. I can't think of a stranger time in politics. Right now, we're completely divided in this country. And the outcome of having each party in office is pretty obvious. Look at the economy and what was going on from 2016 to 2020. We were setting records, good records. From 2020 till now, with the new administration, we're not doing well. We're setting records, lots of them, but they're not good. Are we going to stick with this in the midterms, or are we going to try to make some sort of a change? Something you need to decide. Like I said, this is not going to be a political open, but it's something we do have to pay attention to right now at the midterms. But more importantly, other than voting, and that shouldn't take a ton of work, but you should be doing a little research and making up your mind, and then you can forget about politics and focus on what's important and where you have some control. That's the big thing you've got to focus on right now. We have no control over politics, really. We can vote, and that's it. We have no control over this economy or inflation or prices or rates. We have no control over those things. There's nothing I could tell you today that would help us change those things. Even if we all got together, there's nothing we can do to change those things. So we need to be aware of them. We need to know what's going on in the economy. But I can tell you the only thing you should be focusing on right now and the only thing you should be investing in is yourself. That's where you have control. Everything outside of you right now is really out of our control, and it's difficult, and it's going to be difficult. So invest in yourself right now. I definitely would not invest in the stock market. It's just way too volatile, too many unknowns right now. The only people who should be investing in the stock market are people who are under 50 and have a retirement plan that they work on, and they contribute a certain amount of money every month. You should keep doing that. Absolutely. If you are under 50 and you have a plan and you know why you put in money into the stock market, you should absolutely keep doing it. Don't stop. You should just keep doing it. We call that dollar cost averaging. You buy stocks every month no matter what. And when the stock market is going down, you are now buying your stocks on sale every month. That's the best way to look at it. But new money, extra money should not be going into the stock market. It should not be going into real estate right now. Real estate is a mess. Both of those investments are going to look better in a year than they do right now. That's one way to look at this. There's no hurry. Both of those maybe in a year. Maybe not, though. This might be 18, 24 months, might be longer. If we look back to the early 80s, and that's the closest we can come to these kinds of numbers. And I certainly remember that time. That was the beginning of my adult life. I graduated in 81. The economy was a mess, a real mess. There was no jobs. People were moving all over the country to try to find work somewhere. And that really lasted most of the 80s. It was later into the 80s and early 90s, the economy really started to take off with some technology, computers. The internet was just getting started. AOL came along. We've had a good run since then. Sure, we had some downturns in there, but we've had a good run. But we're back to those kinds of crazy numbers that we're just not sure what's going to happen. So in a time like that, you focus on yourself and you invest in yourself. What does that mean? Well, invest in making you better. Here's what I think everybody needs right now. This is really my theme for the show today. And by the way, phone lines are open. Jump in and join me. 855-950-3835. This is a talk show. I need you to call and talk to me too. So jump in. Once the calls start, then I usually can't get to them all, but jump in and get them going here. Invest in yourself. That's the best place to put your money, your time, your effort. Here's the way I would do it. Here's what I think everybody needs right now. In fact, I've got to work on one of these for myself. Everybody needs a big goal. You need a big goal. Something that gets you out of bed in the morning, something that gets you motivated, something that will help you stay motivated to sacrifice, because when the economy turns down, we're going to have to sacrifice some things. You need a big goal. You need a big goal to focus on every day. Otherwise, the everyday news can really start to beat you down. Many times people have asked me, well, how do you stay motivated? I know what I'm supposed to do, but how do I stay motivated to do it? One of the ways is by surrounding yourself with motivating information and material and really focus on the positive things. I audio books excellent way. If you are a driver, surround yourself with audiobooks. And yes, they're expensive. And yes, you might say, well, if the economy is so bad, why would I spend this money? Because this is the time to improve yourself, invest in yourself. If you are willing to put $1,000 into the S&P 500, why not put $1,000 into yourself? If you were thinking about buying real estate for hundreds of thousands of dollars, why not invest in yourself? It's a much, much better place to put your investment money right now is in yourself. I posted on both websites, truckingtribe.com and healthytribe.com, a new audiobook site I just found this morning. Didn't have time to look at it other than I clicked on the link and saw some of their prices, and it was pretty amazing. And these are, big name authors. I haven't looked to see, do they have a lot of good business books or anything like that yet. I'll probably check it out later today. But I'm seeing books that, big name authors, $17, $18, $19, $20, now on sale for $3 at this website. So it's chirpbooks.com. Check it out. Chirpbooks.com. I put the link on both websites, so if you're driving and you can't remember it, just go to healthytribe.com or truckingtribe.com. Now is a great time to really invest in yourself, and audiobooks are a great way to do that. Then set a big goal. Maybe your first big goal is around audiobooks. I remember setting a goal around books that I was going to read 100 of the top health books. Probably one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. Certainly turned my health around and everybody around me and the listeners, and it's become a huge part of our business. And that was a goal I set then. And people know it. I said it on the air. I said, I'm going to read 100 of the top health books in the next year. I got it done in 9 months, and it was life-changing. That's what you need right now. You need a big goal. And reading or listening to a certain number of books, that's a big goal. Getting your finances in order, I can certainly help you with that. That's a big goal. Starting a business, not today, but starting to get ready to start a business today would be a big goal. Those are all good goals. But we all need one right now. My problem, honestly, is my big goal right now should be to organize my big goals and prioritize them and start to work through them. We just have a lot going on right now. I look at a lot of projects out there that I'm excited about. We have to finish them, and I have to find enough time. So maybe my first big goal is to organize those, prioritize them, and then just start working through them. What's your big goal? If you don't have any idea what it should be, call me today. We can talk about it. If you know what it is, call me and tell me what it is. I think it's the single most important thing you can do right now. Have a big goal and invest in yourself. I have some other things. I keep kind of starting to open with this topic, and before I get to all the meat of it, the calls start coming in. So we'll go to the phones, find out what's on your mind. Let's go to California to get started. Jerry, welcome to the program.
Good morning, Kevin. I've just got about 4 little brief things on my list to catch up on and clarify, et cetera. So nothing really urgent, but I guess I agree with you. I'm already 1,400 and some books deep in my Audible account, so I think awesome. I've pretty well invested in myself on that. So and I have an awful time listening to health books. I try, and it just gets off in the weeds, and I don't understand what they're talking about. I love murder mysteries and that kind of thing, and
let me make a couple, one for sure. Let me think if I can think of a couple others that I really like. Did you ever try the book? I haven't mentioned this book in a long time. I used to talk about it a lot. Eat the Yolks.
Yep, did that one. Yeah, and I've done several of them. I even got through Wheat Belly on Audible, but boy, that was tough. It was,
well, that's what I was going to say. Some of them are really, really difficult, and some of the difficult ones are really good. Wheat Belly is one that's hard to get through, but boy, if you can do it, it's good information. Eat the Yolks, and if you've already read it. That one was just, to me, it was kind of light and breezy and easy to read, but really well written and good information. I know I've got a couple others like that, but they're just not coming to mind right now. But if you're 1,400 books in, you've probably listened to them anyway.
Yeah. Well, I started on the Diabetic Code by Jason Fung. I got about halfway through it, and that goofy monotone with all these extremely technical information, I just bailed on it. I just couldn't get through it. So I try, but anyway, I do have a lot of other books. So, but that's not what I called about. I want to clarify several things, and this is no reflection on you at all. I agree with what you say, but I want to clarify something, and that is, if you wanted to make light balance and you wanted the sodium, magnesium, and potassium, where would you go to get them? I mean, like the potassium is a naturally occurring element, correct?
They all are. Yeah, they're all naturally occurring elements.
That's my point. Now, every time you talk about farming, you always use the term chemical fertilizer. The big three are nitrogen, potassium, and phosphate, but they're all three naturally occurring elements that are mined. Well, nitrogen isn't, it's manufactured, but the other two, the P and K, are all mined, naturally occurring elements. So why do you keep referring to it as chemical fertilizer? Now, I know there's chemicals used, and I agree with you on the regenerative farming, but I just think it's a misterm.
It might be, but I don't think it is. Here's why: we have isolated those in a chemical form and stripped out all the other stuff. We figured out that the only three you need to make a plant grow healthy and actually produce food, those three are all that's required. It's the problems they create. It's not the fact that they don't produce food. They do. They produce food really well. It's the problems that they create, and we've isolated them as an individual chemical at this point. We're not using them holistically. We're not using natural fertilizers. We're using fertilizers manufactured and isolated in factories, not natural fertilizers. So, but then where the chemical part really comes in is that once you use that on your land, you now need a ton of chemicals to solve all the other problems. You need insecticides, you need herbicides, and we destroy the soil gardening this way or farming this way, and we have to have those chemicals. We have to have the genetically modified crops that can handle the chemicals, like Roundup Ready corn and Roundup Ready wheat. So it's chemical farming. Once you start isolating those three nutrients as chemicals, we're not using the natural forms of them, then we need a ton of other chemicals. And once we stop that, once we go back to using real, whole, natural fertilizers that do have those three elements, and we still measure those three elements, when I buy true organic natural fertilizers, it will still show the levels of those three because they're important. But they're in a whole form, kind of like food for us. We don't want to isolate nutrients. We want to eat food in its whole form. It's kind of the same thing here. So I will continue to refer to it as chemical farming because that's really what it is.
Well, it is. It's chemical farming, but the chemical fertilizer is somewhat of a misnomer because they're naturally occurring elements.
But not the way we use them.
Same as what's in light balance.
We developed all of these chemicals actually as chemical weapons during World War II. And after World War II, we didn't know what to do with them all. We started using them for farming. So, yeah, I think chemical is the right word. We're not using a natural form of those nutrients. And
I understand. I just wanted to clarify that. I wasn't sure where that, because I've been to phosphate mines and seen it being mined, and I just don't. I mean, it's a naturally occurring element that's mined out of the ground, and probably the same way you'd get potassium for light balance. So
it could be we're just not using it in a natural form. And here's the thing. We know the downsides to it. That's the real issue here. It's maybe it would have been better, but it's not. And we know it's not now. We know the long-term downsides. It's bad for the planet. It's bad for the animals. It's bad for us. And instead of...
Oh, I agree with you, but I just wanted to clarify that.
No, that's fine. And then, there's this big push now towards this fake meat and, being vegan because it's better for the environment. And it's not. That's a horrible lie. It's not better at all. In fact, it will probably be far worse. Now, does that mean I agree with the way we're raising our animals now? No. It's horrible the way we farm and raise our animals. It is destroying our environment. But the answer is not to go vegan and create a bunch of fake meat. That's going to make things worse. The answer is to get back to real farming the way we did for thousands of years.
Well, I wish we could, but I don't think I'll live long enough to see it.
So I
move on to another topic. Yeah. You said about a month ago, I think it was on John and Joel, and you were talking about the education system in the United States, and you were talking specifically about cursive writing, et cetera, and you said that it really doesn't matter if anybody learns cursive writing because there's always transcription programs that matter. And you've said numerous times that words matter. So I was reminded of a story about the brand new monk that was his first job in the monastery. The old monk assigned him to transcribe some of the old scrolls. So he was starting to transcribe the old scrolls, and the old monk heard him yelling and crying and just couldn't figure out what was going on, so he went to see what was the matter. And the young monk was so upset, and the old monk asked him, "What you're upset about?" Because he said, in tears, he said, "The old scrolls." He said, "The old scrolls, they don't say celibate, they say celebrate." So words do matter. And transcriptions can't always be trusted.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, I just thought of that when I heard you talking about the education system and transcription. So probably a couple of weeks ago, you were talking to somebody about Rain-X on the windshield. Yeah. And I was reminded of a story. I had used to have a small fleet with several drivers, and one of my young drivers was was explaining how his dad just was also a truck driver. Just swore him down by Rain-X. So I just kind of played dumb. I knew damn good well what Rain-X was. And next time I went to the supply store, and if anybody doesn't know what this product is, they're not going to get this, but maybe you do. So I went to the supply store, and I got a box of Rid-X. And I brought that to the shop and gave it to my young driver and asked him, "How in the hell is this going to help a windshield?" So you laugh and you must know what Rid-X is.
Yes, I do.
Just for anybody that doesn't know what Rid-X is, it's a dry powdered bacteria that you flush down your stool to keep your septic system working correctly.
Yeah, it's basically a bunch of
got a good laugh about that.
Bacteria. It's crazy what
that's all it
bacteria
is,
can do. We've used bacteria to clean up oil spills. We use it to clean up our sewage. It's pretty incredible stuff.
It is. So anyway, I just wanted to catch up on a few little things from past shows, and
there you go.
And catch up today. So that's all I got today, Kevin. Thank you so much for what you do.
Good stuff, Jerry. Good talking to you. Let's go to South Carolina. Michael, welcome to the program.
Hey, Kevin. Thank you for taking the call. I am resurrecting a cab over Kenworth. It's a 92. It's got a Series 60 Detroit. It's been sitting for 10 years.
Wow.
And in the fuel tanks, there's a black substance. I know it's algae. It's kind of a slimy black. And I'm not sure of the consistency of asphaltene. What it is, it's kind of, when you put it between your fingers, it's almost like glue. It's very sticky.
That could be asphaltene.
How to get rid of it and what it was.
That could be. Yeah. Is it asphaltene will also settle to the bottom of everything. Asphaltene's fairly heavy, and it will tend to settle to the bottom of filters, the bottom of the tank. So it sounds like you could have both, because if you've got slimy, that's usually algae. If you've got this heavier, sticky black stuff, that's probably asphaltene. The good news on the asphaltene is that's easy to get rid of, really easy. Cummins makes that product called asphaltene, and you just dump it in the tanks and it works. The algae can be a little trickier because that's a living organism and it can keep regrowing and coming back if we don't get rid of it the first time. It may be worth it. This may be one of those trucks you want to take the tanks off and have them cleaned.
That was a possibility. No, there's no algae in there. I had algae at one point. I know what it is.
Okay,
it's strictly got to be the asphaltene.
Oh, then don't take the tanks off and clean them, because the asphaltene will be easy to get rid of. I was worried you had a really bad algae problem for something that was sitting. But if the algae's gone and it's just the asphaltene, don't take the tanks off. Just get some of that product. It works every time.
And it's available from Cummins.
Yeah, it's their additive division, and it's just called asphaltene.
Oh, good deal. I replaced all the fuel lines on it.
Oh, good.
It also had 24/5 wheels on it. They were
Is this a 12.7 or an 11.1?
12.7.
Okay, because in the early 90s, in a cab over in the early
90s, was pretty popular.
It's pretty common in those years, and I love that engine. But that early DDEC 2 12.7 was a rock solid engine too.
When I was shopping for trucks, I bought this truck in '96, and the fleet that they came from, most of them were 11.1.
Yeah.
And then I found this one was a 12.7, and I grabbed it. And it only has about 700,000 original miles on it right now.
Wow. Yeah, that's a keeper.
My wife, we have and I've been to the CMC 4 times. I've met you and Linda, you and Lisa. But anyways, it had 575 on it when I bought it. So its annual mileage has always been low. And, but it had 24/5 stud-aligned wheels. So 24/5 tires are getting almost obsolete to get.
I know. And who wants them?
Well, I got them. Exactly. Well, exactly. I changed my W900 over to 22/5s when I was a white single, and went ahead and changed the front wheels too, because the tire dealers do not want the cores. A good tire, when you buy a new tire, you'll get $60-$70 for a tire. 24/5s don't even want.
No, I swear I think they're going to start charging us to get rid of them.
Absolutely, and they do. They don't have a need for it. If it's a damaged tire, there's no core on it. You pay to get rid of it.
Yeah.
So I decided the tires needed all new 10 tires on it, and I figured, well, hell, I just go ahead. The wheels needed paint. They're all steel wheels.
Oh, yeah.
So my tire dealer in Tampa has a service where they will take steel wheels and they will sandblast them and powder coat them for $25 a wheel.
Are you kidding? Really?
So I went to No.
Sandblasted and powder coated for $25? That is a killer deal.
It's a killer deal.
Wow.
And because they were stud-aligned wheels, I had just to make sure that I wasn't in a field exchange program. I said, look, these are stud-aligned. They're obsolete. You can't buy them. So I bought 8 of them from the junkyard, all in good shape, and just sent them to get powder coated. Got 8 new. I just run Chinese tires on this truck because it only does about 4,000 miles a year.
Right.
And so, but what I always wanted was aluminum front wheels. I wanted aluminum all the way around, but they could never afford them. But I got aluminum front wheels. So you cannot buy an aluminum front wheel stud-aligned wheel anymore. They are obsolete. Nobody stocks them. At least the major carriers. There may be one at a warehouse someplace too.
Right.
So I've actually converted a hub-aligned wheel now to a stub-aligned wheel. And everybody told me, you can't do that. And I asked the question you asked, why?
Yeah, right.
Well, I don't know. You can't do it. Well, I found out you can do it.
There you go.
And here's how. First of all, the big hole that is the big hole in the wheel
Goes over the hub, right?
The same on a hub line or a stub line. They're the same diameter.
Okay.
The head lug diameter is the same. The difference is on a sub-aligned wheel, that hole is basically a 1-inch hole. And it's just a straight hole. There's no chamfered edges. On a stud-aligned wheel, that is an 1.25-inch hole. And then the edges are chamfered at a 45-degree angle. Well, I have a big drill press at the shop and a radial arm drill press, if you never know what that is.
Yeah.
I took the tires off. I bought a junk aluminum wheel just to experiment because everything measuring up says I should be able to do it. But before I take 2 good wheels and ruin them, I did it. It worked.
Wow.
I started with a bridge reamer, and I reamed the holes out to 1 3/16, and I took a normal straight reamer and reamed them out to 1 1/4. I bought an 1.5-inch chamfer, a 90-degree, and then I chamfered the edges to a 1/4-inch thickness, and I have a perfectly safe. There's no difference than buying a wheel already like that, like you used to.
Wow, that's pretty slick.
I did it. Yeah, and I'm actually I've made some filming of it. I'm going to just post a YouTube video here, and whenever I get around to editing it, and just put it out there. Because everybody I ask, oh, you can't do that. Why?
I love proving those things wrong. That's awesome.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, my tire dealer in Tampa, I told him I'd come by and see it. Hey, I'd bring it by and show it to him. He says, he's known me for a few years, and he knows that if something I say is going to work, it's going to work.
That's right.
Sure enough.
That's awesome.
So, all right. I appreciate the information, and good to talk to you.
Yeah, definitely. Good talking to you. Let's go to Texas. We've got some open lines if you want to jump in right now. Today is a free-for-all. I'll stay here till 9 o'clock or until we run out of questions. So line them up, 855-950-3835. Fred, welcome.
Hey, Kevin. I need that gentleman's number because I have the old stud pilot rims.
Really? Yeah, that's pretty slick how he did that.
Well, I mean, yeah. I'm actually talking to a local shop here about getting some hubs. To change this old truck over to the the hub piloted.
Check out his video when he puts it up.
Yeah, it sounds like too much work. I think I'll just buy 10 rims and send them to him.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Yeah.
A couple things is I believe I agree with what you're saying about the economy tanking. I see it all around. I think what's happening is whether it's 3/4 of a point or a point, they're going to raise rates. I think that's baked in. I think what these investors and the market's going to be looking at is his language, Powell's language, with if he's going to come out, showing that he's going to do more aggressively before the end of the year or not on other rate hikes.
Yeah, and I don't think
that's where we're at.
Yeah, and it does. Sometimes the market gets it wrong. I mean, the stock market isn't always the best indicator. They get it wrong that investors are emotional. So it really doesn't even matter much to me how the market reacts to this week. It really doesn't matter much to me anymore about how the market reacts to anything. I just don't think there's any way to avoid a pretty massive downturn. I just don't think there's anything anybody can do at this point.
Well, I mean, if anyone's been paying attention, this is exactly what the Federal Reserve is trying to do.
Yeah.
They're trying to crush demand and slow the economy down purposely.
Because that's all they can do. You can't let
Right.
inflation run rampant, because that's what happened in places like Venezuela. You will collapse an entire economy. You'll destroy a country's economy if you allow the inflation just to continue. So the only thing they can do to kill inflation is to kill demand. And you kill the
Right.
economy when you do it, and that's that. And it just takes time for an economy to come back from that. And I think we're probably looking at several years now.
Well, I heard an economist this morning actually saying that the problem the Fed is going to have is the politicians are spending way more money. They just can't keep up with that. So they have to stop the fiscal spending as well.
Well, yeah,
And that's really what, yeah, hopefully it will be a change, at least in the House, and they can stop some of the spending. But, the Republicans have been just as bad as the spending as the
no
Democrats
doubt.
have in the last 20 years. But I don't want to get too deep into the weeds of politics. Maybe tomorrow
we'll do
about
that tomorrow.
At the pit.
Somebody nominated you for somebody, because the other day I was talking about it.
I saw that.
Yeah, somebody nominated you as my new co-host for the pit.
Well, I am a little neurotic with politics, so.
Yeah, there you go.
But investing in yourself is definitely a good mantra to start hailing. I started doing that on the health side with the other stuff, and I was really shocked to wake up Sunday morning and have a body battery of 99.
Wow, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I had a sleep score of 98 and a body battery of 99.
So I know I'm early here, and I know I'm jumping the gun, but I'm excited about this protocol, and for you to get results that quick, and you did this, like 3 weeks?
Right. Yeah, 3 weeks, exactly.
3 weeks.
3 weeks doing this. Now, today my body battery is down to 52, and this is going to be a work in progress.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
Just to get there. What I'm looking forward to is retaining my body battery throughout the day. That's where I'm really trying to strive for.
Yeah, so here's my goal on this, because I agree. But once I get to the point where I can get my body battery back to 100 most nights, some nights you're just not going to, and I know it. Some nights I know my downfall. I push too hard physically on a lot of things, and your body will fight back, and it will tell you that's enough. I'm in that point right now. I'm going to talk about the wind again because that's my thing now.
I was going to ask you about that.
Oh yeah, I've already, I'm starting to learn how to read weather charts and make my own predictions. But there's a woman here in the Gorge who writes a wind prediction every morning, and she does an awesome job on it. That's how I'm learning all this stuff. But the next 3 days, Monday and Tuesday, don't even bother getting out on the water. They're east winds. They're weak east winds. It's just awful. So no point in even going out. So I've got a couple days to rest, and I need it. I have pushed my body between all the work that's going on in the garden right now, and I get out on the water every time the wind blows. I'm not recovering. I'm heading backwards now, and most days I can't do the protocol. Because that's the whole point. If you look at your body battery and you're already tanked, the last thing to do is work out harder. That's what we want to do. Yeah. But I'm learning now, don't do that. You've already pushed too far. It's too late to do the protocol. I should be getting up and doing the protocol first is what I should do. And then, I'd have less energy throughout the day to do the other stuff. But I'm pushing in all these areas, and physically my body is saying, hey, wait, it's just too much. You're not going to get better like this. You're going to get worse. So it's no different than how, Dr. Jaquish figured out that spending even an hour in the gym is too much, that you will overtrain, that You know, it's really good news if we think about it. If we can just get our brains wrapped around it and actually believe it, it's really, really good news that I don't need to spend an hour in the gym. I can do it in 10 minutes.
Well, that's the thing. I was just going to say. Now, my son's 20, going to be 20, and him and my wife sound like everybody else, but that's okay. But he wanted to learn how to do machines, and I told him the X3, and he just wants to get out of the house and do, which I encourage. Go out there.
Right.
I said the first thing you go in as a young man into the gym, I said scan all the machines for any good-looking girls and go work out next to them. I told him.
That's as good a plan as any. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I haven't been married too long, so anyway. But I showed him how to do a circuit training. I told him to write, put notes in his, and that's what I did Friday. Because after I loaded Friday morning and I tarped the load, the humidity in Houston was so unbearable that I was depleted anyway. So I didn't do the stress protocol. So actually, these results I've been having have been 1 week of 3 protocol sessions and 2 weeks of 2 protocol sessions.
Wow.
So I'm really encouraged about that.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm really encouraged about that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what got me excited. I was really excited. And, I have a lot on my mind, not just with the economy. Like next week, I'm going on vacation. My youngest is expecting we're going up to New York. And it's not that it's not unplanned, but I'm just neurotic. When a day lost is a day lost. Everyone says you can make up days. You can't make up days in business. I'm sorry.
Right.
Whatever I would do tomorrow, I would do tomorrow anyway. That's how I feel.
Right.
So, just taking a week off is another lost week. And I've had quite a few weeks off this year. I'm doing fine, but, I know the bumps and bruises that are coming. I've been through it too many times. So that's what got me a little uneasy. And, it's time to, get ready for the winter and go through this truck again like I do every year. And it, that takes time away from everything else. So, but I am excited about this. And again, whether you invest in your business, which I always do, invest in yourself, which is an investment in your business, is investment in yourself. Get your diet under control, get your stress under control, like I'm trying to do. Reading, enhancing your mind, all of this stuff is always a positive. Schedule it and take the time and do it. That's my biggest thing.
Yeah, it really is. It's always important. It's always something we should do, but it's easy to kind of set it aside when the economy's cranking and you can go out and make money doing all kinds of things. And I get it. Now is the time to look around and go, what do I do? And it's easy. Look inward. Just focus on your
idle hands is the devil's playground.
Yeah.
So when the economy is going to slow down, and there might not be 5 days worth of work out there for some, those are the days instead of getting down and depressed, and those are the days you should shut everything off and just work on yourself, whatever you decide.
Yep. There are immediate results. I mean, if nothing else, the improvement in your mood. I just find when I surround myself with positive, uplifting messages that I feel much better than when all I hear about is the lousy economy. I hate to come on every day and talk about the lousy economy, but I have to. We have to realize it's there. It's a thing. And then what are we going to do about it? Well, there isn't much you can do. There's nothing you can do as an individual to change the economy. So don't bother. It only takes a couple minutes a day to be aware of what's going on, but then shift your focus to what's possible and more positive stuff. And I think the best way to do that is to have a big goal right now.
Yes, I agree with that as well. And that's why I've been posting all my numbers and everything to try to show people that, listen, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where this is going to lead me. If it leads me, I know it's going to lead me in a positive direction because it's I'm working on my body.
Exactly.
I mean,
Right.
so whether I get great results, okay results, or not so okay results, just okay, either way, I'm better today than I was yesterday.
Exactly.
And that's with everything. And that's with everything we do. My wife says to me, we go to the grocery store on Sunday mornings, and when I see, I'm fortunate the local grocery store does have a little area of grass-fed, grass-finished meat. And I'll scan through that every week. And my wife's like, but your freezer's full. I said, but you know something? When things go crazy, not the world's ending or zombie apocalypse, I'm saying when the prices go crazy, I won't have to buy steak or chopped meat or anything this next week because I have it. When it's on sale, I buy it and I shove it in there.
I've been saying that the other place you can investing in yourself right now is really important. But if we're facing inflation of 8% every month, which we are, and Biden still likes to say, he said it again on that 60-minute interview. And, who was it? Is it CBS or one of the mainstream, and they actually pushed him on it. Finally, a mainstream media source finally pushed him and said, wait a minute, what do you mean, inflation is under control? No, it's not. And he kept trying to claim that it was.
Right.
Well, it only went up 1 percentage point, a tenth of a percentage point from last month. Yeah, but it went up 8.3 percentage points from this time last year, and that's what we're supposed to be looking at.
Correct.
You can't keep. He keeps trying to compare it to the month before. Well,
yes, and that's when he came out saying that inflation didn't rise at all. That means it didn't rise from the month before. That was back in July,
which is
and so but the core inflation's still 8%.
Well, and we never ever
it was 2%. It was under 2% when he started.
Yeah, we're not reporting month to month. That's not what's happening right now. If it went down 3 or 4 points month to month, well, maybe we would talk about that. But holding steady when it's at 8+% is a really, really bad thing. The fact that it's holding steady is not good. But he also, I do like the other statement that he made. Did you know the pandemic is over?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
yes,
he said
yes.
so. Clearly,
that's why Moderna's stock is tanking today.
Right. Yeah, the pandemic's over. Joe Biden said so. So that should mean no more vax mandates, right? Nobody should be kicked out of the military anymore. Nobody should lose their job anymore. We should be allowed to cross the border, go wherever we want. There should be zero max mandates, right? Vax and mask.
No, come on now, Kevin. Now you're getting into the profit margins of the.
Come on, it's either over or it isn't. And Joe Biden said it's over. He's the president.
Yes,
he's the ruler in chief these days. He doesn't even need Congress.
No. Well, what people may not understand when we talk about these core inflation numbers. That takes out gasoline and food prices.
The two things that are hurting people the most.
The most, yes. So this is just on durable goods that we buy. You go buy a washing machine, you go buy a car, you go buy, whatever.
Yeah.
It's just not the stuff that you use every single day.
Right. Not consumables. I think it's kind of things that last longer than a year typically. And those prices have certainly gone up, and that's hurting us. There's no doubt, but not nearly as much as consumables. That's the worst when we get hit because you have to keep buying those over and over, which is what you and I were just talking about. Pre-buy your consumables in a time like this. It's actually a really good investment.
Well, I heard another analyst come on and said, when you see Costco having issues, then you're going to see big drops in the market because they have been on the cutting edge of the supply chain. and managing everything. And you buy in bulk at Costco. And this guy said, if I see Costco having a bad quarter, I know it's time to pull out and just sit back and watch.
Well, the other one that really worried me was, FedEx's announcement last week. And they did not need to make that.
Yeah.
They did not need to make that announcement. They did it early. They weren't supposed to announce yet.
They did.
But the news was so bad.
They pulled all their guidance too.
Right. Their news was so bad. They said, we don't want to sit on this. We want people to understand.
Yeah.
This is big. And again, FedEx and these final mile delivery companies have just been booming for years now. So to see them get hit hard is a really bad sign.
And FedEx, for the most part, in manufacturing and in consumables, they touch every business
exactly.
out there, pretty much.
Yeah, they do. So there's no doubt.
This is why people don't understand when FedEx comes out with a forecast or a lack of a forecast of the future. That's a major hit to our economy going forward.
Yeah, that was a big one. That one, and that's really that was what hurt the market so bad last week. I mean, the market tanked when FedEx came out and announced that, and that's really when. We've been going back and forth. You can watch 10 analysts and you're going to get 11 different stories somehow out of 10 analysts. So it's always hard to know. And they all have credentials. This one graduated from Harvard, that one graduated from Stanford. I mean, they're all impressive with their credentials, but they can have wildly different opinions. So for a while, there's been this kind of argument back and forth. Is it going to be deep and short? Is it going to be deep and long? Is it going to be shallow and long? Talking about a downturn or recession. After last week, and I was still a little on the fence. There are some things happening that could pull us out of this in a little bit. And what they are, I think, if they were handled correctly. And I think it is the two technologies that we talk about in trucking, and we don't like either one of them for some reason, autonomous and electric. That will drive our economy for the next couple of decades. Just like computer technology has driven our economy since the 80s. Computers, we started getting PCs in the 80s, and we created a whole new universe of companies with all the peripherals that go with computers and all the other technologies and software and hardware and firmware. And we created a whole universe of work and jobs and companies out of nothing that never existed before. And that's why we've had such a good economic run. We could do that again. Those two technologies will drive our economy for a long time, except we're screwing them up badly.
Well, I think the only downside to that is that we have to outsource all the minerals for the storage and for most of the electronic technology.
That's a problem.
Solar panels and all that stuff is outsourced.
Well, but we could fix that.
And that's why I don't think we're going to have that kind of boom that we had in the tech era. We'll have a boom. I mean, I don't doubt that. And I think it's naturally occurring anyway, regardless of what happens and what the administration pushes or not push. I think it's just naturally, going to organically happen. But I think the being that it's not going to be, everything has to be outsourced, or at least I think primarily everything is, most of it's going to be outsourced. It's not going to be a windfall for the United States economy long term.
You might be right, but it could be. We don't have to outsource all that stuff. We have the ability to do it.
I don't know if we have the mineral capacity, though. We do have the minerals here. I don't know if we have the capacity to scale it.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean we can't import the minerals. We don't have to import all of everything. I mean, we could start to import more of that. We do have some. We can acquire more. I see the biggest problem with this is the way the government's handling the electric part of it. That's the big downfall. That's the mistake.
Yes.
We
yes.
will.
I'm
going to make a prediction.
Forcing an issue that doesn't need to be forced.
Right. I'm going to make a prediction that we will lose a decade of innovation over this. That if you just took away all the tax incentives right now, let the free market figure out the transition into electric, and it will happen quickly and it will happen better. But we will set ourselves back a decade because of all the tax incentives. Companies will form to grab all the tax money. They'll go bankrupt. We'll do it over and over. We've done it before. We did it under the Obama administration.
This happened with Solyndra.
Right.
Exactly, yes.
Right. And it's going to happen again 10 times worse this time.
I also feel that the private equity market with the ESGs being pushed on the other side
what a mess.
Is stifling the innovation. Too.
Yeah, what a mess.
So, we're in a very volatile,
very strange
situation
time
here over the next couple of years.
Very strange time too. Hard to predict. You know, like I said the other day, it's kind of it almost feels like bookends on my kind of adult life. I went through the early 80s getting out of high school right when all that was happening and entering the job market, and it was a pretty crazy time. And then things, for the most part, stabilized for most of my, adult life and career. A couple downturns here and there, nothing major. We've had a really good economic run. I hope it's not over.
Right. Well, I think we benefited in the late 80s from Reagan's policies. And then the tech boom came in the mid to early 90s, which helped Clinton. And that really drove such a driver that it lasted to the 2000s. Like you said, we had a couple of downturns over that course, but they were all kind of, I think, manufactured crisis. The people that control the money wanted more of it.
Yep.
And I mean, look, the data this morning with the housing builders, they're down under 40% of looking at the housing market being profitable the next year and a half.
Oh, the housing market is just
the builders though the builders themselves when they do a survey of them, they're down under 40%, I think, or around 40% of enthusiasm, I guess, and now. A lot of these builders are coming down in new home pricing.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I talked about this property many times because I stand here at my window staring at it all day when I'm on the air. It's the lot right across from me, and I talked about it a year or so ago. A guy bought it, and I know the contractor. He's done some work for us. He bought the lot and started to build and put in a foundation. He does a lot of concrete work. So he put in the foundation, and then the lumber prices went through the roof. And he stopped, which was smart. I mean, if he would have built at those prices, that would have been insane because they came way back down again. So he had stopped, and he just let it sit there, and he tried to sell it as a foundation, and it didn't move. And then the lumber prices went back down, and he started to build. Now, the problem was, I have been watching for the last months now, him and his wife, they literally built this house themselves. But he can't find crews. Him and his wife did almost everything. They brought in electricians and some heating and cooling, but other than that, they have built this house, the two of them. And he's got it on the market now. It's done. And the price he's asking, he probably would have gotten 6 months ago. He's not going to get it now. He's not even going to get close to it. But I talked to him. He's a pretty young guy. I mean, I would say, I don't think he's 50 yet. I'm probably early 40s. He's done really well. And for the most part, he says he's got this house to move. He's got one other that's been on the market for a little bit. He basically said, I think I'm kind of going to retire. He said, I've done okay. He says, I just don't want to work in a market like this.
Well, good for him if he set himself up that way. That's the whole thing. When the market starts going south on you, and you're in and your industry stuff, and if you did do the homework and did the hard work like you're always saying, you have a little bit of cushion. You can take a step back and then do projects that may interest you.
And I'm sure that's what he would do, right? Yeah. When the real estate market turns around, he'll be back in the game again. He's just
right, and there's no reason he shouldn't.
Right.
No reason he shouldn't.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be a while. I think real estate's going to be. The crazy thing I heard already. So mortgage rates went over 6% last week. That's the first time since like 2020, I think. They went over 6%. That's a bad sign. But the very next headline I see after I read about the mortgage rates going up over 6% was adjustable rate mortgages are on the rise. Are these people idiots? Do they not understand the basics of how all of this works? Just the basics. What have we been hearing for a year now? The Fed will continue to raise interest rates until they get the economy under control. Well, we know when that happens.
Right.
Typically, they have got to match that inflation rate with the interest rate. That's what has to happen. They can't do it too fast because they'll totally crash the economy. But we have to get that rate up to like 8 to 9%. Because that's where inflation is. Who in their right mind, what idiot would take out an adjustable rate mortgage when mortgage rates are going up? And we know they're going to go up for years now.
Right. Well, I'll tell you, I don't think there's anyone, I'd say under 35, that understands where rates were historically. I may be a little high on that, Mark, but I think that's about right.
Probably.
I was selling mortgages. I was a mortgage broker for a little while, and I was selling mortgages. I think it was, it had to be early to mid 2000s.
Okay.
And we were at 6 to 7 to 8%, depending on your credit rating. But I remember 6 being a pretty normal mortgage rate back then.
It was. It
was maybe 03, 04, I'm thinking.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And what most people don't realize is at 6, 7% when you're in that range, 6 to 8, and it was kind of bouncing around there for a couple of years, that's the point where you can look at how much you're borrowing and just realize you're going to pay back almost triple. At that rate, that's about how it works out. If you're borrowing $300,000 for a house, you're going to pay back $900,000 on a 30-year mortgage.
Right, and the education was when you're paying your 30-year mortgage, just going on a 30-year, you gave one extra payment a year, you'd knock it down to 25 years, and you'd save tons of money.
Exactly, it's huge.
Just by paying one extra payment a year.
And there's actually an easy way to do it. You make bi-monthly payments.
Yeah,
make a payment every 2 weeks, or bi-weekly. However you say it, right? Yeah, every 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So I mean, and of course, if your credit is good, then you're going to get the low end of any spectrum that you're doing. When I bought a house, one of my first houses, my credit was bad, but I knew I made the money, and so I got into a 5-year ARM, adjustable mortgage rate, and within a year I had solicited the company that I had the mortgage with to give me a fixed rate loan.
Yeah,
which they did.
Well, good.
Which they did. But I did it for a reason, because I knew I had to get into the house, and I wanted the house, but I knew showing them a year's worth of payments would give me better leverage to get a better rate.
And that's what's happening now. I get it. The housing market's a mess. The rental market is awful right now, and I get people don't want to pay $2,500 a month to rent a house, but that's typical now. And your mortgage could be half of that. So I get why people want to get into a house, but they're going to make a mistake doing it right now.
Yeah, being from New York, that's an average
Yeah, no, I get it, but when you when that becomes the average around the country, that's a problem.
Around the country, that's a problem. Exactly. Yeah, because I was talking to my wife about California, and I said you have to make mid six figures to live out there in any kind of serious house and survive.
Yeah.
I think California, is the highest housing market we got right now.
Oh yeah, that's just a mess. But we're seeing it here. I mean, I'm seeing prices that are just well. Let me give you an example. That house across the street that's currently listed at $750. It's even 1,900 square feet. I'm not sure if it is. They might be 1,700 square feet.
Right.
The house I'm in, and I'm right across the street. So location. My front windows face the river, so I've got the view from the front of my house. They have the same view from the back of theirs. So location is virtually identical. When we bought the original property here, was just the original house and one lot. And then we bought all the lots around us and expanded. But when we bought this house, it was 2,900 square feet. And we paid $360,000 for it.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's same with me in Texas. When I moved out of New York and came down to Texas, I bought brand new construction, just under 3,000 square feet, and I paid $219 for my house.
Yeah.
And I was fortunate enough because I left New York. I had a lot of money in my pocket.
Yeah, that's a great move from New York to Texas.
I sold a 1,200 square foot house with a bigger piece of property in New York City, Staten Island, where I'm from. I had 65 by 130, which is a Ponderosa in New York. You know, like you're looking for cows and everything.
Exactly.
So I sold my house in New York for $570. $570.
Yeah. Wow.
It's crazy.
It is.
Now, to even get back up there. That's why I tell my wife to go back to New York would just be, financial suicide.
The taxes, the insurance rates are insane in New York. It's Yeah. All right, Fred. Good stuff. Good talking to you again. We're going to move on. The calls are starting to pile up on me. We're going to head off to Ohio. Herschel, welcome to the program.
What do you say, Kevin?
Are we looking at another? I'm afraid to open your oil samples these days.
Dude, I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Look at that. 10,000 miles. And that's since the last set of new injectors. Kevin, if that doubles, if I'm right, that's 6.4 and 20,000.
Let's sometimes. So 3.4 doesn't bother me. That's a good number, but you're right. It's only 10,000 miles. Sometimes, though, we don't actually see it double. Sometimes you see it hit that number and then kind of hang out. So I wouldn't panic yet. Let's wait the 10,000 and see what you're. Wait 10,000. Let's see what your number is at 25. Maybe we're going to get lucky. If not, I'm probably with your last call that it might be time to bail on this thing.
Okay, so I think I'll go to about 18. I can't go to 25. No, I won't have fingernails left. I'll be a mess.
No, I get it. Yeah, 18 to 20.
18, do it again. See what happens.
Here's the thing. If you go to 18 or 20 and it ends up in the threes still, we'll be golden. If you go to 18 to 20 and it's up into the, fives, we've got a problem again. And what do you do now? I mean, really, this is one of those, I don't even know what I would do. A lot of times, I just answer a question, well, what would I do? I don't know what I would do. This is so frustrating.
Right. And there again, what the hell do you buy? Volvo Mac, you can't get them fixed. Freightliner, they got so many problems you can't even in-frame their engine. I don't know. I really don't.
Here's another way that I might look at this, just given the situation we're in. That 6 months from now, there are going to be deals everywhere. There are going to be bargains on newer low-mileage trucks. There's going to be bargains everywhere in 6 months. Why not just take the approach now on this truck? No matter what the next sample looks like, you're just going to make this thing last 6 more months to a year. So it's got high fuel dilution. So we'll change our oil every 10 or 15,000 miles, and we'll dump a couple gallons of Lucas in it. Why not? I mean, what are we going to hurt at this point?
Right. Oh, boy.
Yeah.
So I got a good one for you.
Okay.
About a month ago, I run out of light balance, and I thought, I'm just going to see what happens if I go without it. Well, I never said anything to my wife, and here 3 or 4 or 5 days ago, I told her, I said, I don't know what is going on, but my legs are so stinking sore. I feel like I've been running marathons. It's awful. Climbing in and out of the truck is a chore.
Yeah.
She said, well, why'd you quit light balance? I said, well, I run out. She said, no, you didn't. There's another bottle in there. That's why I didn't see it. So I started on it Friday this past weekend. I did 2 capfuls, Saturday 2 capfuls, Sunday 2 capfuls. Here it is Monday. It's not 100%, but I'm about 90% not sore. You ever heard of that?
Happens to me every time. And I'll do the same thing. We'll run out of light balance, and I'll think, the warehouse is right there. I could walk to it and get some more, but I don't. I think, it's not going to hurt. I'll get it later. And a couple days later, things start hurting.
Oh, wow.
I tend to end up with muscle cramps, but I do notice more muscle soreness during that time too. My first indication will be about 3 days after I stop taking it. My feet will start to cramp up first, and then I'll start to get calf cramps, and it happens every time. And you can't eat much cleaner than I do, especially this time of year. All of my meat is completely clean. And we don't eat out hardly ever. And the rest of my food is all coming out of the garden. And yet I just supplement with light balance. I've tried not doing it, and it just never works.
Wow, that's crazy. What's your opinion on dehydration to make homemade beef jerky? A buddy of mine brought some. They just took a beef roast, sliced it, marinated it in some kind of, I don't know what kind of spice concoction, and dehydrated it. Holy crap, was that stuff good. But I can tell by the taste it's got sugar in it. Does the sugar level go away like it does when you smoke and cure in a dehydration process?
Somewhat. We use sugar as a cure for meat before we make jerky. So one of the best ways to make jerky is to mix about half salt, half sugar, and literally bury the meat in that half salt, half sugar, and that cures it. Then you can smoke it, dehydrate it, however you're going to do that. But curing helps the meat last even longer. You can do uncured jerky, but it won't last as long, and a lot of times then you've got to refrigerate it, which kind of defeats the purpose. But that is the process for making jerky. Now, how much sugar they put in their marinade and their cure can matter. But curing it, we're virtually washing off all the sugar. When you use a marinade, though, and you have a high amount of sugar in the marinade, that will get absorbed into the meat. And if you are tasting sweet, then there's some sugar there, but we're talking really, really small amounts. I mean, it's hard, unless this thing has like a sticky glaze on it, then you might be getting large amounts of sugar. But if this is basically just meat that's been marinated and cured, there's only so much sugar you're going to get in there, and it's not much, really.
Okay, I'm just curious.
Yeah, it's a pretty
Kevin,
small
I'll
amount.
let you be.
All right. Well, this isn't as bad as what it seems. Like I said, I think your goal here is just keep this thing running till there's a bargain out there. They're going to come.
Sure.
Okay.
All right. We will talk to you soon. Right. We're going to head off this time to Washington. Eric, welcome to the program.
Oh, hey, Kevin. Now I got two things, but let me start with what I called in about you were talking about, property and whatnot and the economy.
Yeah.
And something that happened to me the last time I was home was I got my card from the county doing the property taxes or the property value assessment.
Yeah.
And now here, as a short background, I live in the southwest corner of Washington on a sand-spit peninsula straight north of Astoria, Oregon.
I know, right where you are.
I bought this place in 2016. Yeah, okay. I bought this place in 2016 as a foreclosure. Paid like $65 grand for it, cash.
Nice.
I've never had any money or time to put into actually rebuilding it.
Okay.
This place could use a good coat of fire.
Okay.
So the water heater hasn't worked since day one. I ripped it out, meaning to move it, never got around to it. So when I do take a shower at home, I'm definitely Wim Hofing it.
Got it.
Because it comes straight out of my well.
That's cold.
The roof has 2 lumber tarps on it to keep the water from pouring inside every time it rains. And the punchline here is, my last year's value of this property, it's a 3 tax lot out of the 8 on the block. It's on a corner lot on a busy road. Its value was $150,000 according to the county, and I paid over $1,600 last year for property taxes. They just raised the value to $200,000 on me.
Yeah.
That's a 33% increase in value.
Yeah. Yeah, you know why?
I know why. Because they want my property taxes to go up. That's what they want.
Yes and no. That obviously that's part of it. Government always wants more of our money, but really we can blame a lot of this on the hedge funds like BlackRock and the real estate companies like Zillow that went out and spent stupid amounts of money buying properties because they knew they could turn around and sell them and make a profit until they couldn't. And then Zillow got stuck with a ton of properties they couldn't get rid of. But that's what's messed up our rental market. It's what's messed up our real estate market. And you just brought up another area that it messes up that we haven't talked about. Property taxes go up because of this kind of stuff.
Why doesn't it go down if somebody like Zillow has a bunch of properties they can't sell?
Well, because our taxes are based on it will go down. It's starting to now, but the problem is these counties almost never go back and adjust property values down. So every time we have one of these run-ups...
Mine have gone down over the last 6 years.
Well, that's good. Good. It usually doesn't. But, over these last couple of big real estate run-ups, we get hit with higher taxes.
Well, what sucks is I actually tried to sell my house in the summer of 2020, as is. It's like, hey, people buy fixer-uppers or tear-downs all the time. But all I got were looky-loos who wanted to buy something they could move into. And I'm like, I listed this place as you're not going to move into it.
Yeah, right.
And yet I didn't get any action on it at all.
Yeah.
I was like, well, whatever. Okay, so maybe I'll just keep it because, for one thing, while the town around me has public water, I'm on a well still.
Which is
Even
nice.
though they keep threatening to meter my well, I'd be like, yeah, that's when the war starts.
Yeah.
It's when you try to throw a meter on my well. But, every time they have an infiltration because of something and people can't use their water for a week, I don't have any problem because my well is good.
Yeah, no, exactly. When we bought property over in Washington on the other side of the river, I made sure it had its own water source.
Yeah. I wanted to move to someplace like South Dakota, except that But where I wanted to move to South Dakota, the only thing available was bare, undeveloped land, and to drill a well there starts at $50,000.
Yeah.
Because the water table is like 200 feet down through rock.
Yeah. Some of the hottest real estate markets now are like Montana, Wyoming. It's that whole Yellowstone phenomenon. The uber rich wanted to be out away from everything, and they all want big ranches in Montana and Wyoming now. And they drove those prices through the roof.
I just wanted to get away from any place that, supported the stolen election of 2020. But,
well, they kind of do too, but they won't always admit that, and they have enough money that they're making those prices crazy. You forget buying anything around Jackson Hole.
Yeah, which I think is kind of funny. But anyway, Jackson Hole. But anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the ones that screwed everything. They were all Californians to start with, and then they moved to places like Oregon and Washington, paid 3 times for properties what they were worth. It screwed everybody else over, but they also brought their politics with them.
Yep.
And so now you can't live anywhere on a coast that has any kind of a conservative leaning at all. It's ridiculous. But,
that's for sure.
All right. The other thing I wanted to ask about was the light balance and everything. Everybody keeps talking about light balance, and I've used it for years, but I think I'm starting to get away from it. And I wanted to ask you what your relationship. Light balance is a bottle of water with some minerals in it, whereas if we were buying Redmond Relight, it's minerals in powder form that you can put into your own water. So I'd just like to know why you stick with the light balance after all this time.
Results. That's the only answer I can give you. We've looked at powders because they ship so much easier, and logically they should work, and they just don't ever seem to work as well. I don't know what they did what they've got so right about this formulation, but that if we have talked many times about starting to create our own products. That's our next evolution, is our own products. And, we've kind of looked at what should the first one be. And we've gone back and forth between Light Balance, trying to recreate that product, or Brain Octane, which is drop dead simple. I absolutely know I can recreate Brain Octane. It's easy. The Light Balance, I'm not so sure, because I've experimented with other mineral supplement products, and I just don't get the same results.
See, and I'm one of those people that it seems like I never really get the obvious reaction to things that other people get.
Well, here's the thing.
Even Brain Octane.
Here's the thing. If I don't get results out of a supplement, I would stop taking it. I don't like the idea that when they talk about a supplement, they talk about these long-term benefits. Yeah, I don't trust anybody anymore. If I don't get a noticeable result, I'm not taking it.
Yeah, so that's kind of my point. I mean, I do believe in electrolytes,
Well, maybe you don't need them. Maybe I wish I didn't need them. I mean, that's what we keep talking about. What is it about? What are we missing that enough people still, and it's not just us. Every practitioner I work with or talk to has a mineral supplement they recommend, and it's one of their most recommended products. This is a common occurrence when people start eating this way, and it confuses us all. We're not sure why, but not everybody needs it. And if you don't, and if you take it and nothing changes, then don't take it. You may just not need that supplementation at all.
I know it works in certain cases. Like, I'm a flatbedder, and sometimes I'm just worn out after loading something in the heat and everything. And I do believe that it helps hydrate us again. My big thing about Light Balance isn't that Light Balance doesn't work or anything. It's just that in the serving size, you're getting less of the minerals than you are in, for example, Relight. It's not the only one I've tried. I tried Element and everything too. But, for a scoop of the powder of Relight, Redmond's Relight, you're getting more stuff in it, and you're also not paying for all the excess water that you're paying for with the light balance.
And if it works, then use it.
That's just my point of view. Okay.
So
that's,
let me ask you this.
That's what I was trying to...
When you do that product, what result? Yes, I did. I said that earlier, that the reason we stick with light balance is results. That when I've tried the other products, I don't get the same results. So let me ask you, when you use this Redmond product, what results do you get?
Well, to me, it's about the same, honestly.
But you said you don't get any real benefit from taking light balance. So if you say it's the same, then you're not getting any real benefit from this. Why are you taking it at all?
So that was all right. That was my point earlier. Was that I'm not one who gets obvious results from pretty much any supplements.
Then why take them?
Now I'll admit I'm still fighting my diet. I'm still.
Well, that may be the biggest part of the problem.
Even though I'm working on it.
That may be the bigger part of the problem. But if forget this product for a second, any supplement, if you're taking supplements and you say, I just don't get results, then stop taking them.
Well, I don't take many. I use the D3K2 drops because I know damn well I'm not getting any sunshine.
Well, hold on. So let me show you why I take D. Because I get results. If I don't take it, I test my vitamin D levels, they're low. I take a vitamin D supplement and I test them and they're high where I want them. That's a result. Do you get that same result?
I don't. I haven't tested. But the thing is, you test it and it comes out high, but do you feel any different when your D is high as opposed to when your D is low?
I don't feel different that I can explain, but I can tell you one result that seems pretty consistent. I don't get sick. The one time I let my D level get low in the last 8 years, one time, and it was the only time in 8 years I've been sick. And I was horribly sick for 4 days, really bad. Wasn't COVID, I thought it was, but it wasn't. But there's a result. If I let my vitamin D levels get low, you are much more likely to catch something. It has a big impact on your immune system. So again, that's a result that I've been able to measure over the years.
Well, and that's part of why I use it, is not because I'm testing for it, but because I believe that it is good. So might as well take it as opposed to not. I don't get sick. I think I may have had COVID the first week of March in 2020, only because I had the first cold I've had in my adult memory. But it was a mild cold. I didn't even need to take anything for it. So who knows?
You may have.
I don't know. But, I occasionally get a bout of hay fever, but those are few and far between compared to how they used to be. So I don't know.
Just one other way we screwed up the whole pandemic. What we should have focused on right from the very beginning, and we never did, we still don't, there should just be a good at-home antibody test. There's lots and lots of people that have no idea whether they've ever had COVID or not. I'm one of them. I don't think I have. But I might have.
And as I understood it, the antibody tests that they do have are only good for a short period of time anyway.
Well, that's what I mean. We could have developed a better test.
There are none.
Nobody bothered to try.
Yeah, well, I'm full on conspiracy theorist when it comes to the COVID crap anyway. I don't think it was ever serious. It's just that they had an opportunity to make it sound serious, so that they could do all this crap to us that they did for the last 2 years.
Well, yeah,
so,
there's that too.
But this ain't the pit, so
that's right.
All right, well, that was just my question about the light balance. I just feel like I get more from another product that they're both not cheap, but I don't like paying for things that are, 80, 90% water when I have water. I can get water anywhere. So unless they're,
If you have a powdered product that works, use it.
okay. I mean, I like buying from you guys. I try to support you as much as I can.
I appreciate
I don't
that,
need from you anymore.
Right, and I appreciate that, but I tell people all the time, don't buy it. If you don't need it, don't buy it. And if we had found a powdered product that I liked better, we would have switched. But we haven't. I like this product. It works really well. We get really good results from it. Lots of people have been taking it every day for the last 8 years, and when they quit, they don't like it. So, yeah, this is one we're sticking with. We even, like I said, we were looking at developing our own. And if I can't produce something better than what we're already using, why would I do it? It's kind of like the whole Cardio Miracle thing. We were weeks away from releasing our own product. It was almost done, and we scrapped the whole thing. Just said, why would we bring out a product that is not as good as what we've got in the store now?
Because you were also wanting to come out with your own line of beet kebabs, weren't you? Or something, maybe that was part of that same product.
Well, it would have been a fermented beet. Our product was basically a fermented beet product with some other nutrients. But we didn't come near to the level of what, and that's what Cardio Miracle is too. It's got beets as the base. They just did a really good job of formulating the rest of it.
Now, I'll admit, I do like the Cardio Miracle. I do use it. I can't say that it's doing anything outstanding for me. I don't know. And I don't carry blood pressure cuff with me because blood pressure varies so wildly that I really wouldn't be able to say whether or not it was actually the product or not.
Sure you would.
Well,
sure you would. Even though it varies wildly, there's still a very clear pattern. It only takes me about a week to identify a clear pattern. That my lowest blood pressure will be this, my highest blood pressure will be this, there's my range, and now I start taking something and my range should move down. And it will take us a week or two to measure that. I mean, I could do that whole test in a month, easy.
Okay. Well, when I say wildly, I mean when I've gone in for testing, I've tested initially as high as like 190 over 120,
let me
and
give
then
you.
I wait 15 minutes, and it's 130 over 80.
Correct. And that's how blood pressure works. I just had a great example of this. Lisa had to go in for some procedures, and they take her blood pressure, and it was through the roof. It's like 190 over 110. And, they're panicking, and she's like, well, I've been really worried about this. I'm anxious about the procedure. After the procedure was over, she was immediately down to like 110 over 70. That's what blood pressure does. That's why we check it ourselves, and we don't just depend on a once-a-year reading from the doctor. We take it from ourselves so we learn what those patterns are.
I lost my train of thought.
Now, the one thing I can tell people, let's say that you do get those crazy high readings once in a while, but you never really get down to normal readings. That's a real problem. Now, like Lisa, she actually, throughout the day, she runs low blood pressure now. Hers used to be high before the diet. The diet brought it down to normal. And Cardio Miracle took it lower than what they call normal, but she has no negative side effects. So lower is better. There's no negative side effects from it. But that's the whole point. We measure it so that we know the things we've done are changing it the way we want it to change.
But they keep sliding that normal scale on us too.
Well, so ignore them.
Most of my life
I don't
that I can
care.
remember,
I don't care about them.
Well,
I mean, 120 over 80 is a pretty good number
as far as the DOT physicals go, but my entire life, 140 over 90 was right about where my blood pressure was sitting the whole time.
Well, it wasn't.
Whether I was heavy or not.
That wasn't good, though.
Now they're trying to get us down to 120 something.
120 over 80, I think, is a good place to be. And if you can get lower than that, that's a better place to be. So, yeah, I don't. They move the number down so they can put more people on drugs. I don't care about that. But a lower range on blood pressure is not a bad thing to shoot for.
Yeah, well, no, I get that. I just mean that it's
Yeah, that
normal. When they say something's normal.
Well, and we have to go.
Normal is also
that's their normal.
Got me stuck on a CPAP machine because my neck is thicker than normal. But whatever.
Correct. Right.
And my weight, but one last thing about the Cardio Miracle that just popped back in my head. You were talking to somebody else about how many times or how much you take of it. Did you ever test to see if yours was any better taking like 2 in the morning and 2 before bed, or is 1 and 1 perfectly good and you don't ever need to take more than that?
I can't tell. I can't tell much of a difference between 1 serving and 2. I lean towards 2 servings every day now, honestly, because I have just gotten into the habit of sipping on it all day long, and I really enjoy it. So I really do 2 more because I just like having something, and it keeps me hydrated. That is the one result I see when I go to 2 servings a day. My hydration levels stay better because I'm drinking a lot more water to get that second serving in. And it really helps my hydration, and I enjoy it. But I don't notice any real result. When I take 1, I see my energy levels are better. I don't get that lactic acid buildup in muscles like I do when I'm not taking it. But when I take 2, I don't see any real improvement over just taking 1.
I stick to 2 mostly because, well, 1, that's how the directions say to do it. But I take 1 in the morning with my first water, and then 1 in the evening right before I go to bed.
That seems to work well.
For some reason, it likes to work on your body when you've got nothing else in your system.
That's and like I said, I just enjoy it, and it keeps me hydrated. But if I stop taking it, I can tell you what the results will be. But if I cut from 2 a day to 1 a day, nothing really changes.
I got you. Okay.
So if it were a cost issue, I would go back to 1 a day. Why take 2? I mean, it's fairly expensive stuff. Why do 2 if I'm not getting better results? Well, I'm willing to spend the money just because I enjoy that second cup, and it keeps me more hydrated. Well, but if budget were an issue, I would say no. Just do 1.
The hydration thing is also why I've tried other electrolytes, because I just like having something in my water. And I know that electrolytes are a hell of a lot better than, Crystal Light or something.
Exactly.
So.
Right.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome. Thanks for the call. Let's head off to New York. Brian, welcome to the program.
Hey, Kevin. Just thinking about poor Herschel. I really don't think he wants to get rid of that truck. Has he been to 2 shops or just 1? It doesn't really seem like they're very interested in this problem. I don't even know if they believe him.
Yeah, I can't remember the whole history of where he's been. I know we've been through several sets of injectors, and this just keeps coming back.
I think maybe I'd give Pittsburgh Power a crack at this.
I know the truck's been there, but again, I don't know the history of what's been done where. And as much as I love Pittsburgh Power, we went through the same thing with them. They had a real run of problems with 12.7 injectors. That was at the peak of, when we were trying to build so many gliders and we were rebuilding all the older trucks. And we know Fitzgerald started building blocks that they shouldn't have been, and we were just short on parts everywhere, and the part quality went down, and we fought that injector issue for a couple of years back then. And I think, again, we're back there again. There's just not enough good quality injectors on the market. And a lot of times it's not the installation that's the problem. It's the injector itself.
Yeah, and that could be. I'd be looking at a different source of injectors,
something.
Maybe the Delphi's.
It's hard, though.
Maybe trying to
Yeah, I mean, think about it from Herschel's point of view here. Every time it happens, it's that much harder to go try it again. I'm going to spend all that money again. What if these fail?
Right.
I'm to the point, honestly, where let it go high on the fuel dilution. Keep enough Lucas in there and change your oil more often, and let's just keep running this thing.
Yeah, and I mean, with all of them being so fresh and with possible probability of a bad one in every batch, I'd be trying to single them out.
Well, now you bring up another good point. You're right. If you were going to attempt to fix this thing, I think you're right. The better approach would be stop doing 6-packs and let's see if we can identify one bad injector and replace it.
Yeah. And maybe even, well, that's way out of where he runs. I know PDI does something where they like throw them in a fish tank or something. I don't know.
Yeah. But again, the difference between replacing 1 and 6, the labor's all the same cost just about. You're only saving on the parts. It's still a big repair. But if you were going to go forward and try to fix it, that would be the better approach now. Because what could be happening is you've got 6 new injectors in there, 1's bad. And let's say it's number 3. We pull all those 6 out, we put 6 new in, and now number 1 is bad.
Right.
We're going to keep getting one bad injector. And that's, yeah. So you're right. If you wanted to go forward, you should start working to identify the bad injector and try just replacing 1 at a time. But that gets expensive too.
Yeah. That's all I got. I just, hate to see it on 70 be given up on.
I know. I know. And it isn't like we think this is a bad block. This might be a very serviceable engine. We just need some good injectors for it.
Yeah. I'll just drop it off at my house. I'll take it.
There you go. I'll send him your address. All right, Brian, thanks for the call. Looks like we're going to wrap this up for today. Wait a minute. Looks like we have a call coming in. Angie, go ahead and grab that call. I'll take it if you want to get that one screened. I don't really want to jump into any of my topics because they were all fairly long. I'll just go back and kind of reiterate what I've been saying. This is the time where we are in the economy, where we are in the industry, where we are with rates. The time to focus on yourself. That's what this is. Focus completely on yourself. Sharpen the saw. Upgrade your skills. Stay positive. Set a big goal. I think that's a key right now. Set a big goal. And if you need help on how to set a big goal, what your big goal should be, call me. I can help you with that. We'll talk about it. But I think that's a really important thing for people to do right now. Set a big goal and then focus your time, your effort, and your money on that goal. It's really the best thing for you to do right now. Everybody wants to know, where do I invest? Not in the stock market, not in real estate, not in a business yet. Invest in yourself right now. Let's head off to Washington. Dillback, welcome to the program.
Hi, Kevin. How are you doing?
Good. What's on your mind today?
Okay. About the cardio miracle.
Yeah.
In the morning, I mix with my water.
Okay.
At nighttime, I mix in my yogurt. Is that okay?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we talked about that. That's actually really good, too. The flavor in yogurt is really good.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. That's a great way to do it.
That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, like at nighttime, if I try to put it in the water, then I have to wake up for the pee.
That's actually a good point. Yeah, you're right. A lot of people don't want to consume that much water late in the evening. That's a really good point. Yogurt's a great way to do it.
Okay, that's great. Yep. Yeah, it is working good for me.
Good.
And,
Good.
I got some other supplements. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thanks for the call. All right, we are going to wrap this up real quick. One of the things we're working on right now and trying to plan some things. We are working on doing more video in a series on kind of food from start to finish. There's some gardening stuff, fermenting, canning. Obviously, it's top of mind for us right now because we're doing a ton of all that, and we're trying to, take pictures, get some video, and really kind of put that together, maybe even as courses here soon. So we'll keep you updated on that. I'm going to wrap this up today. We will see you back here tomorrow for the Power Hour and the Pit. I think we've got a pretty normal week on the schedule this week. I can't remember if we have any guests or not. I know we've got Eric from Garmin coming up pretty soon. We'll do some updates there. We're going to go back to bringing on more guests. We're going to get back to that here soon as well. So pretty normal week this week. We'll keep you updated, and we'll see you back here tomorrow. Be safe, be profitable, be fit and healthy always. Do the hard work and master the journey.